Good morning to everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you. We are gathered here for one more session of libraries as communities. This initiative, I should say, is the brainchild of our GM, Mr. Jay Kumar, and our librarian, Ms. Jayashree Kannan. And this is third year in a row that we are holding this kind of meeting. This allows all our readers, the new readers who have just enrolled, and the prospective readers to know what is going on in our library, what all things we have. And we normally get to know one of the seasoned readers or the experts of subjects to come here and give a talk on how they have benefited from this library, what all books and materials are available in their field of expertise, so that the others get to know what they can expect here and how they can also benefit from this place. So this is about our libraries as communities. And today, as one more topic regarding this libraries as communities, today we will be having a talk by Sri Abhinav Kadambi on divine therapy, as in Ayurveda. Now, before we get into what he is going to talk, I would like to give a few words of what we can understand about the medicine, the science of medicine in the Indological system, because that's what we specialize in here at the ALRC, books and materials on Indology and Oriental subjects. So we have this system called Ayurveda in our Indian system, and of course there is the offshoot of Siddha medicine and other medicines which are offshoots of the same Ayurveda, or rather they are complementary, because what emerged through the Vedic system was called Ayurveda, what emerged through the Agamic system is Siddha, and that is equivalent to complementary ones. But when we talk about our sources of all our experiences, and when we talk about medicine, why medicine? And he is going to talk about therapy. Why therapy? That means there is a problem for which we are trying to find a solution. That means what? We are going through some experience, and in our Indian philosophical system, we talk about three sources of any experience. One is called the Adhyatmika, which is brought upon by oneself, mostly whether it is physical or mental. And we have Adi Bhautika, brought about by the environment that we live in. And then we also have a belief in something beyond all this, and we call it Adi Daivika. Now today he will be touching upon the Adi Daivika aspect. But what is this Adhyatmika aspect? As simple as the psychosomatic problems that we undergo when we talk about the health issues. Adi Bhautika, yes, today we are having cases of dengue and everything that we are going through, whether it is dengue or any other problem caused by whatever is in the environment. But Adi Daivika is something which is beyond our comprehension, and that is where we start looking at some divine intervention, some divine support. And in our system, we have a lot of legends which talk about how people cured themselves, or how people surmounted their health problems by praying to or singing the singing the glory of certain deities or certain gods. the famous thing that we do whenever there is somebody is going to take a medicine, somebody is going to consume a medicine. One of the shlokas that normally is said is Sharire Jarjari Bhute Vyadi Graste Kalebare Aushadam Jannabitoyam Vaidhyo Narayano Hari. Here we are saying the God, Narayana himself, is the doctor, and the medicine is the holy Ganges water or any sacred water. When do we consume it? Whenever the body is in the grips of any disturbance, or when there is the fear of death, or when you are gripped with any disease. These are the times when the medicine is being given, and that is the time when this prayer is also said. But it is not just this prayer. There are so many other stories which we come across, like Shyama Sastri singing the Navagraha Kirtanas is very famous. Shyama Sastri's, Muthuswami Dikshitar's Navagraha Kirtanas are very famous. They extol the glory and nature of all the 9 planets, Sun, Moon, the Venus, Mars, everything. But that the underlying purpose is for spiritual upliftment. But there is also the additional benefit that many people talk about is the health and mental well-being. Now if we talk about all this, we see the story of Nakira, the Tamil poet, who was supposed to have been earned the wrath of Lord Shiva, and therefore afflicted with some health problem. And how did he cure himself? Is by going and having a dip in the golden pond at the Meenakshi, the golden lotus pond at the Meenakshi Amman temple. This is one story. We have the famous Narayaniyam. How it was born is because Narayana Bhattadri was afflicted with a severe stomach ailment, and he sang the praise of Guruvayurappa, of Lord Krishna at Guruvayur, and he was cured of that problem. And we have Abhirami Bhattar singing the praise of Abhirami in this Abhirami Andati. We have all these which are all spiritually uplifting on one side, and at the same time indicating that there is a divine intervention that people resort to whenever they want, whenever they feel helpless, when they start feeling that all these other remedies are not sufficient or are a failing. And we also have this system of saying that whenever talking about a God as talking about a doctor as a God who comes to rescue. In Tamil we say, Deva Madri Vanda Kapathina, like you came like a God and saved us. These are common things that we relate to when we talk about medicine in our Indian system. And we have, in the Greek system also, we have the god Asclepius and his father Apollo. That is why the famous name for the entire chain of hospitals is Apollo hospitals. And in the Indian system, we have Dhanvantri. Dhanvantri, who came up with this pot of nectar of immortality. And we pray to him. He is supposed to be an incarnation of that Lord Narayana himself. Or there are the twin deities of the Ashwins. So we have all these kind of divine principles that we resort to when we come to the therapy in the Indian systems. And today we will be having Sri Abhinav Kadambi talking about this divine therapy. He is not new to TS. Many of you would have spotted him here in the TS campus quite often. And those who are in the Facebook would always see one picture or the other being posted every alternate day from the TS campus, whether it is from Chennai or elsewhere. Beautiful photographs he'd be posting with a lot of this thing, introspective thought behind it about what affected him with that. Anyway, he has spoken here earlier at our seminar. We had a seminar on sciences based on the Indian knowledge systems, and in that he spoke about the pramanas, comparing the Indian, the pramanas as in the, especially perception as in the Nyaya system, along with what is being used in the Western medical system. He is a trained engineer with an academic research background in medical nanotechnology, MTech, and cognitive neurosciences. He is a traditional student of Yoga Shastra and Nyaya Shastra. He is currently an academic teacher and researcher in Indian knowledge systems. He has just submitted a synopsis or thesis itself.
Thesis next
Thesis,
later. Thesis later.
he has just submitted his PhD synopsis. He has been doing his PhD research under the guidance of Dr. O.R. Devanathan at the Postgraduate and Research Department of Sanskrit Presidency College, which is affiliated to the University of Madras. And today he will be talking about the divine therapy, and let us hear as to how he presents the divine therapy as in the Ayurveda system. Thank you very much.
Vishuddha Vijnana Ghanaswarupam Vijnana Vishranana Baddhadiksham Dayanidhin Deha Bhrutam Sharanyam Devam Hayagrivam Aham Prapadye. Whatever you will see on the screen is a QR code for a handout which I wanted to give you in the hand. But as I cannot give it to everybody, I don't know how many people will be here. I made a PDF file and I've linked it to this QR code. If you can, please take a picture of this on your Android or iPhone. If you take a picture of it and you're connected to the internet, the app will directly take you to that link. Meanwhile, already a good introduction has been given to the idea of divine therapy from the perspective of Ayurveda. So the interesting thing about knowledge systems, especially related to the indigenous kind in India, is that all Indian knowledge systems are inherently somehow connected to each other. So there's a lot of intertextuality, a lot of connections between all different domains that you can think of. When you look at Ayurveda, it's connected deeply with Tantra, Agama, Yoga, Vedanta, and all other knowledge systems as well. It's not only restricted to one specific domain, it is restricted by name only. It is actually connected to multiple subjects, and there have been many stalwarts in the domain who have mastered many of these domains independently. And that is why even today it's very rare to find a very good Ayurveda Vaidya. So if you have taken a picture of this on the camera and you are able to check out the PDF file, that's a great start. Let's move to my presentation. So the original topic was very different. It was a very long word, a long set of words, just like how you have long words in Sanskrit. The original term was supposed to be Divine Medicine in Classical Indian Thought, with the subtext saying exploring Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa as an alternative healing paradigm. Yeah, that's a mouthful. I know it seems like there's so many terms already. Trust me, this is only the beginning. You will see far more terms as I start progressing. So the first term here, Divine Medicine, this is associated with something to do with worship, that much you understand. Classical Indian Thought, so I am talking about something that is very unique to the Indian subcontinent. Exploring Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa, this is a very unique term which is there in Ayurveda. I am sure it is also part of Siddha, but it has a different term in Tamil. Alternative healing paradigm, even though I mention it as an alternative healing paradigm, we can actually use this as in collaboration. We can use this in collaboration or complementary to whatever medicine or medicinal system we are subscribing to. The last one is my name. I don't have to explain my name. This is a very important image. I don't know if you can see the whole thing. I do request people to move slightly closer to the screen if necessary. I'll just read out whatever it is. Because I've color coded it, hopefully I'll be able to explain to you clearly. On the place where you have to start on the screen is towards the right side. It says Purushartha. The word Purushartha is a Sanskrit term which refers to goals in human life. We have 4 different Purusharthas, 4 different goals on the whole in human life. They are supposed to be called Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. They are the 4 words. That is the one in pink on the left, that is Dharma. The one in green just beneath Purushartha is Artha. The one in blue right beneath Purushartha is Kama. And the last one in somewhat yellowish tinge on the right side is Moksha, which is also known as Mukti. You've probably heard of the word moksha or mukti because you're somehow associated with some kind of philosophical system. You may have heard of it in the form of liberation, salvation, release, all these different terms in different languages. All of them mean moksha or mukti. It's release from the suffering that this material universe is. From the right you see that kama, the word refers to any kind of a desire that you have. From the right, the third word is artha, any kind of material support structure or basic needs that are necessary for doing things which are associated with our responsibilities. So that last one, which is connected to other things, that is dharma. Dharma refers to responsibility, sustainability. It also refers to things which are supposed to be done, discipline. All these ideas are connected with dharma. If you look at the glossary document which is linked to that URL at the beginning of the presentation, you can see a somewhat more detailed explanation there. Then to the left of dharma you see there is a word which says sources and which is connected to 4 different words which are in red. So there's a red background with white font. At least you can see the colors. I mean, that's what I'm assuming. So those words are, first one is Veda or Shruti, second one is Smriti, third one is Achara of Sadhus, the fourth one is Atma Tushti. Don't worry about the words, I'll explain it in English so you can understand. Veda or Shruti refers to the oral tradition which is the Veda. If you Google up the word Veda, you will know what it is. If not, you probably are already exposed to it because you are in India for a long time. The second word is Smriti. Smriti refers to any kind of traditional knowledge which has been memorized, which has been passed down again through oral tradition mostly and also through the written tradition. Usually the word Smriti today is applied to any kind of literature or a knowledge system associated with giving us lessons or directions on what to do, what not to do. We call it Dharma Shastra. If you want, we'll talk about it later, but now I will not talk so detailed about Dharma Shastra. The third word is Achara of Sadhus, that is the behavior or the kind of conduct that great people or good people have. Sadhu here does not refer to sannyasi or ascetic or renunciate. Here the word sadhu refers to someone who is of a good heart. The last one here you see is Atma Tushti. In the absence of any of the other 3, the best thing that you can do in order to decide what is the right way of functioning is to listen to your heart. So many of us today are left with no choice but listen to our hearts. Some of us also are finding it difficult to listen to our hearts, maybe because of heartbreaks or heart attacks or perhaps because of our everyday professional responsibilities. I will not go there. That's a different subject of study. We will move forward. When you look at the word dharma again, that is the central word on the top line, that is under Purushartha, the left one. Under that you see another word, karma. Here the word karma is not referring to this what you call karma and whatever I have done, whatever consequence I am going to experience. I am not referring to that karma. Here the word karma refers to what kind of activities are supposed to be done or not supposed to be done. In karma there are 2 types. That is, one is called vihita, which is acceptable. The second one is called nishiddha, which is not acceptable, which is prohibited action. Under acceptable actions we have 4. We see there are 4 yellow colored ones on the left side. These 4 different types of acceptable actions, They are Nitya, Naimittika, Kamya and Prayaschitta. So Nitya refers to actions which are supposed to be done always, Naimittika occasional actions, Kamya referring to actions associated with desire, and then the last one which is Prayaschitta, which is supposed to be actions which are done as what you call, you can say expiation. I don't know if you understand the word expiation. It's like I did something wrong, so I am going to correct it, or at least I am going to compensate it by doing something else. That is called expiation. And all these four will generate punya. Punya is virtue, or it is something to do with some kind of a positive currency that comes to you, which eventually leads to sukha, that is pleasure. And what about this? On the right side, I showed you something called Nishiddha. Nishiddha refers to prohibited action. When you do prohibited action, you will receive one kind of a currency which is called papa, and this papa will generate some kind of suffering. So, whatever we experience today as pleasure or suffering is supposed to be connected with any kind of actions that we do or don't do. If you engage in good actions, you will get good karma phala. It's not good karma. In English, they've changed it into good karma. It's actually good karma phala, the consequence of the action, because of which you will gain pleasure eventually. If you engage in wrong action, wrong karma, you will get bad karma phala, which is going to be called papa, that will generate suffering. Please don't look at this entire image and be bothered about the scale of it. We'll take it step by step. The first line says, cause gives effect. Any action, any time we are thinking about how to live in this world, we understand that everything is connected in the form of cause and effect. I am not trying to give you this lecture that you've probably seen in the Matrix series, the movies. I am actually talking about general everyday life. Everything has a cause and everything has an effect. So a cause is called karana in Sanskrit and Indian languages. An effect is called karya in Sanskrit and Indian languages. Sometimes karya is also referring to any kind of action in general, but karya refers to any kind of an effect or a consequence. Now we are moving to the third line here. There we see karma, action, will have its own consequence, and the consequence of any action, any karma is called phala, P-H-A-L-A, phala. It's the fruit of the action. So literally it's called fruit. Karma has phala. If you think about the concept of how action will give rise to consequence, traditional classical Indian thought tells you that there is some kind of a cooking process that has happened. Some kind of a processing has happened. So this cooking or processing is called vipaka. That is what you see in the fourth line. Karma, there is an arrow, on top of it there is the word vipaka, and after that there is phala, vipaka, V-I-P-A-K-A. Something's cooking. Okay, something's cooking. Not here, I mean karma and phala. Then you go to the fifth and sixth lines. The fifth line, the one in green, karma, I told you there are two types of karma, right? Punya karma and papa karma. Anything that generates punya is called punya karma. Any action that generates papa is called papa karma. Papa karma will generate dukkha, suffering. Punya karma will generate sukha, pleasure. Now move to the next set of green and red. When you go to classical Indian thought, they are telling you that there is some intermediate entity or intermediate item that is cooked up during that process. That is what is called apurva. Apurva meaning something that is preceding the consequences of your papa and punya karma. That is what is shown as that small box between the arrows. This apurva is like an intermediate step. So if you do papa karma, before you get the dukkha, you will experience or you will generate some apurva. It is like the ones and zeros that are transmitted in the wires when you are making an online transaction. In between, intermediate. And when you are experiencing suffering, obviously what do you want to do? You don't want the suffering. I don't want it. I mean, unless you are sane, you will always say that I don't want this suffering. And when you don't want this suffering, what can you do? Solution is already there. You engage in one kind of action called prayaschitta karma, acts of expiation. which will generate another punya. So it will generate apurva, and that apurva will give you sukha, that is, it will release you from the dukkha. That is the intention. That's about the image. When you move to concept of Ayurveda is supposed to be one of the Upavedas, meaning it is a smaller type of Veda. I don't want to go deep into it. In the context of textual studies, we see lots of references to establish that Ayurveda is connected to Rigveda, and sometimes it is connected to Atharvana Veda also, the 4 different Vedas as classified in traditional classical Indian thought. We also see there are different types of diseases. There may be, I think there is Ayurveda experts here, one or many. I know there is one, there may be others also in front of me. So I will not speak much about it. You can talk to others and clarify what it is all about. So generally there are different causative factors which lead to diseases. Then we also have the concept of the type of association. Third, we have a resultant type of disease. Within that resultant type of disease, based on what is affected, whether the body or the mind, we have further classification. If the causative factor is time, kala, if the association, there are 3 types of associations. One is wrongful association, second one is absence of association, third one is excessive association. There is wrong association, no association, or too much association. This is what will give you disease, right? Whatever we do, this is what happens. If you associate with something appropriately, it will not generate disease. This is very common and very practical knowledge. And if it is associated with kala, then that disease, it is associated with, for example, wrongful association. So you will have kala in one column, mithya yoga, that is wrongful association, in the second column, and on the fourth column you will see that the disease, if it is affecting the mind or the body. So if it is just kala, just an association associated with time, then you have 1 in the first column, 3 in the second column, and each of them will be into 2, multiplied by 2. So there will be 6 in the last fourth column. Just because of time, you will have 6 different types of diseases. Don't worry about all the technical terms. You will also see some of them in the glossary document that I have shared with you in the beginning of the presentation. The second causative factor is buddhi, that is our intellect, not to be directly confused with the kind of definition given for buddhi in the sacred doctrine or associated literature. Here buddhi means intellect, that's all. It does not refer to higher or lower intellect. Please don't bring sacred doctrines definitions here for the time being, because I don't know if anybody has done any deep research in this domain. So I will only say that let us not go there for the time being. The third causative factor we have based on this kind of classification is indriyartha. Indriya means sense organ or organ of action. Artha refers to the object of the organ. There are 10 indriyas. So based on that, again there are further classifications. We already know, right? If you already are a mother, you know that if your child uses the video game too much, then the child will have eye problems, cannot sleep properly. And if you are somebody who is working in a very physical work at your workplace, you know that if you walk too much, you will obviously not be able to have a very healthy what you call gait or good leg health in the long term. You will obviously lose the use of your legs in the long term if you are standing too much or walking too much. So all of this is very practical, it's just given in the Sanskrit terms, that's all. Then we have another image, another table. Based on the way we are going to treat, that is not we, at least the Ayurveda Vaidyas are going to treat, there are 3 different types of modalities. The first one is called Daiva Vyapashraya, second one is called Yukti Vyapashraya, third one is called Sattva Vajaya. In the Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa, which is basically the divine therapy we are working with, there are different ways using which you can treat diseases. So Ayurveda Vaidyas are first asked to explore Daiva Vyapashraya, divine therapy, before moving towards Yukti Vyapashraya. Yukti Vyapashraya refers to the diet and everyday routine. All those regimens come under Yukti Vyapashraya. Sattva Vajaya is more to do with psychotherapy, related to psychotherapy. And you see in Daiva Vyapashraya, apparently according to the main texts in Ayurveda, that is Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita and Ashtanga Hridayam, at least right now, that is the main set of texts. There we see that Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa is first explored before being given medicines. So first they say, go try these, then come for medicine. So in that we have different types. We have mantra, aushadhi, mani and everything else. Mantra refers to mantra chanting, you probably are aware of this. Aushadhi, some medicine is also connected with Daiva Vyapashraya. Then we have mani, that refers to wearing gems, some gemstones. I'm sure you've seen in India how we wear these gemstones in our rings and also in our ornaments. Then we have upahara. This is something to do with gifts and not your casual gifts that you give other people. It's like donations, something like donations. Then that is dana, you call it dana in the Indian languages. Then we have mangala bali, auspicious offerings, homa, that is for a lack of better translation, offerings to sacred fire. It's actually not a good translation, but for the sake of clarity I am just giving it here. Then we have different other types. So we have prayashchitta, upavasa. Upavasa is this fasting, you've probably heard of it. We probably do it very regularly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, something like that. But this is not done for the sake of health alone. It is also done with some kind of meditation associated with it. So there are others also. In fact, the last word there is gamana. Gamana refers to yatra, some kind of a pilgrimage, also comes under this divine therapy. Then we have the classification of the different types of papa karma. I told you already that actions can either be classified based on the generation of punya or the generation of papa. Punya will generate sukha, papa will generate dukkha. If you look at the different papas, they are classified into three. One is called great papa, that is called mahapataka. Another is called slightly smaller pataka, smaller papa, it is called upapataka. The last one is called pataka, just papa. So anything that is very big is called mahapataka, slightly small is upapataka, last one is called pataka. I think something similar to what you will find in a cafe, right? You go for coffee, large, medium, small, something similar is also there for this. Large coffee size, you will stay awake for a longer time. Medium size, slightly lesser. Smaller size, smallest size, not so much. Okay. So very similar here also. So the Mahapataka, there are of 5 types. First one is Brahma Hatya. Second is Sura. Okay. I'll explain, then move to the next one. Otherwise it will get confusing. Brahma Hatya refers to killing of a Brahmana. Here the definition of Brahmana is not based only on birth. We will go to this later in a different discussion. Right now, let us not work on it. Second one is Surapana, consuming intoxicants. It's not just consumption of alcohol. Consuming any intoxicant is considered to be a Mahapataka, will give rise to some kind of dukkha in the end. Third one is Teya, thievery. Any kind of stealing will give rise to some kind of dukkha. Fourth one, Gurvanganagama. So this one is very interesting. Having some kind of illicit sexual relationship with a woman of the household of the Guru. So this is very interesting. It's more related to society rather than what you call overall goodness, ethics or morality. It's more like the ancient Indian civilization. Here the respect for the Guru is very high. So to have an illicit relationship with a woman of their household is considered to be extremely wrongful, and therefore it is included under Mahapatakas. This is not seen as a big deal in the West as far as I have seen. My conversations with friends from the West have told me that it is perhaps not seen as a big kind of a problem. It's just like, okay, they like each other, so what? Something like that. Then the final one is Mahapataka Samsarga or Mahapataki Samsarga. All this is fine, only 4 are done. The last one says, if you are friends with somebody like that, then also you will get the same kind of problems. So if you are a friend of a drug addict, obviously you will have some problems. Maybe not because you are consuming drugs, but because that person is consuming drugs, there are problems on you. You have to lie for him or her. Maybe you have to take care of them when they are fully gone, they are just lying down on the road. You will not let them be, you have to carry them. All these things are there. So you will definitely get dukkha because of associating with people who engage in Mahapataka. Then there is a huge list of what you call diseases which will come due to Upapatakas also, and also Patakas. When we look at wrongdoings and diseases for each of these, we see that when you do Mahapataka, I will just read out a few of these diseases. Some of the diseases as mentioned in the Shata Tapasmriti. I just told you there is something called Dharma Shastra. Within the Dharma Shastra knowledge system, there are so many works. Probably you have heard of the word Manusmriti, that is the most popular text. Apart from Manusmriti, we have other literary works by different other authors. For example, we have one by Yajnavalkya, we have one by Atri, we have one by Harita, and so on. There is one which is very much the focus of the current presentation, that is the work done by a specific person by the name of Shata Tapa. Shata Tapa wrote a text and it is called Shata Tapiya Smriti. So in that text we see some of the diseases mentioned and also the solutions for these diseases are also mentioned. I will not go deep into those details. I will tell you how there are these details which are given superficially. For example, in the Mahapatakas list we just now saw, if you engage in a Mahapataka, what are the different types of diseases given here? We have the first one is Kushtha, which is associated with the English term leprosy. Not directly leprosy, but there are other ideas associated with leprosy. If you go to the Ayurvedic literary corpus, they explain there are many types of Kushtha. It's not just the leprosy you get like this, and other things also which are associated with leprosy. And other skin diseases are also included when it comes to Kushtha. The second one, for example, is Raja Yakshma. Generally, it is associated with tuberculosis, but it is not just tuberculosis. I believe that sometimes it can also be associated with muscle wasting diseases like rhabdomyolysis, which is also very common these days because of excessive physical activity. People going, for example, to CrossFit and all. I'm sure you are. I'm not sure if you are aware of the scene in the context of physical fitness. There is this entire model known as CrossFit. The entire brand recently crashed. During the lockdown time, it was very popular. Over the past 5-6 years, they have made lots of money, but then later they crashed recently. Many of their athletes actually had rhabdomyolysis and they have lots of muscle tears, majorly because they pushed their body to the limit and they did not take care of their body very well. So that is also muscle wasting according to Ayurvedic approach, that is associated with the roga known as Raja Yakshma. Then we have another disease, for example, Prameha. Prameha is associated with urinary disorders, not disasters, disorders connected to diabetes mellitus. So many other such diseases are mentioned here. Other than Mahapataka, we have this Upapataka, this medium coffee, that one. In that we have diseases like Jalodara, Yakrit Roga, Pliha Roga, Shula Roga, all these different diseases. I will not go deep into them because I don't think we will have enough time for discussing all that that is on the screen. But what I can tell you is Jalodara is called ascites, it is just fluid accumulation in the abdomen. Yakrit Roga, this is not a specific liver condition but a general reference to disorders of the liver. Pliha Roga, again it is not a specific spleen condition but any kind of disorder of the spleen, and so on. They are not exact, you cannot map it exactly with the Western, the vocabulary of the Western medical system. To an extent you can match, but beyond that you cannot match. Then we also have some diseases which are caused due to Papa, that is the small coffee. we have Danda, Patanaka, Chitravapu, Kampa, and so on. Danda Patanaka is like associated with muscle rigidity. Chitravapu is coloration of the skin or discoloration of the skin. Coloration and discoloration both can be connected here, because anything that is not skin color is coloration or discoloration. Then we see Kampa, which is tremor, so body keeps shivering and all that. So this is associated with consequence of doing papa. Then we also have in the Shata Tapasmriti specific types of dana which are mentioned. Dana referring to any kind of donations. Any kind of donation is a type of karma which will generate punya, which will eventually give you some kind of sukha, or it will alleviate you from dukkha. So we see, for example, I'll just read out the first 5 ones. First one is Godana, that is donating a domesticated milch cow along with the calf. Only then it is Godana. Today we are not able to do it, so there are some people who actually donate it in silver. So just make a small silver idol of a cow with its calf, and they donate it. And then there is Bhudana. Bhudana is donating land. So here the definition according to the text Shata Tapasmriti, that would be 10 pieces of land that are of the dimensions of 10 hastas or dandas by 30 dandas. It's a rectangle. So something like 1 hasta is like this distance. One hand is 1 hasta. 10 hastas is 10 hand and by 30. So that will be a rectangle. Then it says Go Charma Dana. Go Charma Dana meaning the hide of a cow. Hide of a cow. Here it says 10 pieces of cow hide to be donated, that is of the dimension, just like how I just told you. I think it's 10 by 30. 10 by 30 hastas. Then the fifth one is Suvarna Dana, that is gold, donating gold. It's very difficult now, at least during those days perhaps it was easier. I am sure you've checked how the prices of gold are skyrocketing. I think last month we reached a new high. We've never had such a high price for gold. Now it is very difficult to do Suvarna Dana. And there are so many others. If you look at this list, there are approximately 15 different types of dana which are mentioned. And then finally we can close here. I'll take any questions. Any questions relating to the terms or anything related to the ideas presented here? I'll take them now.
So you define Brahmana.
Okay. So in the Shata Tapasmriti, the word Brahmana is not directly defined in the text itself. So for that we have to go again to the Manusmriti. According to the Dharma Shastra tradition, you have to go to the earlier text to clarify. Sometimes, because the new text assumes that you already know what this means. When you go to the older text, some of these definitions are clear. In the Manusmriti also, we only see the definition of the different responsibilities or duties of a Brahmana. It does not directly say whether it is by birth. It actually talks about the vocation, the 6 different vocations of a Brahmana. There the 6 different vocations are given as Adhyayana, study, Adhyapana, teaching. Then it also talks about Yajana, that is performance of sacrifices for oneself. It could be any type of meditation or any austerity for themselves. And then Yajana, that is performance of the same for others in the society, other than themselves. And then Dana, Dana referring to donation. You have to keep giving. You are generally leaning towards giving. And then you also take, Pratigraha. Pratigraha means taking of donations. So when you have this kind of leaning, generally you are considered to be a Brahmana according to how we see in the text. There is no direct clarity regarding what is based on birth. Of course, we do see here and there some verses which talk about marriage and birth, but we understand that Manusmriti may not have been a singular volume that was made in one point of time. It must have been developed over several ages, and therefore here and there must have been some additions, removals, modifications, just like how the Indian Penal Code has evolved. So initially it was something else. Today, after so many amendments, now we've scrapped it and we've moved on to something else entirely. So the Manusmriti must have also gone through these phases, and so the original definition, or rather the more ancient definition of Brahmana, seems to have changed over time. I'm open for correction also, ma'am. Maybe after this. Oh, okay. This is based on how I understand, not necessarily how my teachers have told me. This is what I have understood. So if there's any mistake, yes, it's my fault. Any other questions? You don't want to ask what picture that was of here?
What picture it is?
Sorry?
Can you explain?
That's the picture of the presiding deity at the Parthasarathi Swami temple. It's Krishna with his wife and brother, cousin, son and grandson. So I am from Triplicane, so near the temple, so I've just put that picture. Yes. Yes. So there is in the commentary, I think this is probably in the Chakrapani commentary, Chakrapani, or it's there in Vaghavatas. I don't remember which one. So I'll let you know later. In the commentary it says that it is what gives you quick results. Shighropashamana or something, that's what it says. So first it is recommended, then it is recommended that you come for Yukti Vyapashraya. But I need some clarity on why the word Aushadhi is also mentioned here. Perhaps I'll talk to you later. Because Aushadhi here is mentioned just like that. I think it's more to do with the chanting of something before consumption of the medicine. I'll just have to check though. Yes.
I have a question. So you bring out there was some nice things like mantras and offerings and things you can do to not get sick while you're not. Do you have some of those tried out yourself, or do you have some favorite ones?
These which I have told you about, they are cures. They are associated with chikitsa. Chikitsa meaning modality of treatment. They are not preventions. For preventions, I would say if you live a good lifestyle, it will obviously not come to you. So for that, you check the initial sections of the Ayurvedic texts. They will tell you about good lifestyle, how you should live. Personally, if you are asking me, this is a very difficult thing to explain because it's more esoteric in nature. If you have received, then you will understand through practice. If you have not yet received, then all the best. But yeah, there are certain general practices which will help you. I wanted to talk about it because it was spoken in the beginning of the presentation, or before I began. Radha ma'am said something about Apollo. Apollo is very important not only for their tradition but also for the classical Indian tradition also, because the sun is considered to be one of the visible divinities. So because the sun is visible, almost the whole time that you are awake, you are going to see the sun. Just for about a small part of the day, you cannot see him when you are awake. I mean, unless otherwise you are a nocturnal person, like you are a night watchman or a night shift worker, you may not see the sun in that case. But when you are a person who is having a normal or average profession of some kind, you will see the sun almost every day for a few hours. So the sun is considered a visible deity. It's called Pratyaksha Daiva, Pratyaksha Daivam. And the sun is given so much importance that it is common knowledge that everybody has to perform something to the sun every day if you want to be healthy. So that is why we have the concept of Sandhya Vandana for those who are initiated with the sacred thread. We have Surya Namaskara, part of the asana practices for everybody in common. And for those who are not initiated into either of these, they can learn some stotras, some hymns associated with the sun. So these stotras, the mantras, as well as the practices, the asana practices, are associated with certain seed syllables. When you are initiated, you will get it. These seed syllable sounds, as well as the mantras themselves, are designed in such a way that you will invite the consciousness of the sun to come within you and then eventually leave. And when the consciousness of the sun enters and goes, you are also cleansed of all these problems. So if you can, please learn any of these if you are interested.
Oh, thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, what do you think? We had this COVID, and oftentimes in the summertime, like northern countries, when it was summertime, it was not so bad. But when it starts going in the winter, and there was a lot of like water and rains and snow, then it was bad. But here, it is not considered so bad because India has a lot of sunshine. So you think it's connected to that what you said just about that the sun god is...
It's possible. It could also be because of proper implementation of the lockdown to an extent, better than other countries. It's also possible because of the quick action of the government to have everybody vaccinated. I'm not politically saying some slogans here. I'm just saying it's possible. These are all possibilities. And I have heard that many traditional people and people who are initiated into these kinds of practices, they did this far more regularly than usual, so they were also least affected by the effects of COVID. In fact, I also was doing a lot of these practices, so I am sure that I recovered quickly compared to others. Yes, I think he had a question.
Yeah, I came here thinking that I misunderstood your title. You mentioned divine medicine. Okay, I thought it was spiritual medicine. But in your texts, which
Yes.
I now realize that you're a researcher in Ayurveda, right? In your texts, do you have any insights about spiritual medicine? Meaning that medicine obviously is an input and combined with the spirit to cure.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a question I also get often, or I see people asking very often. In the classical Indian thought, there is no difference between ritual and spiritual. Both are the same. Just 3 letters in the beginning of spiritual, that's all. We include the spiritual within the ritual. So when you are sitting down for a Sandhya Vandana practice, for example, you are not just talking about the cleansing and inviting the consciousness of the sun. You are also going more deep inside and connecting with your own essential identity. And when you are doing a Surya Namaskara practice, you are not just doing movement of the body, you are also surrendering yourself and surrendering your ego so that you can move to your higher self. So for us, traditionally, for centuries or even millennia, spirituality is not disconnected from rituality. So both are the same, or rather ritual encompasses a majority of spirituality. Maybe some spiritual practices are slightly different because they do not have any physical manifestations, in the sense we don't move the body so much in some rituals. But in reality they are also rituals because you are moving your mind. So you are doing some repetitive tasks. So for us, spirituality is not different from rituality. I think there's this author called Mircea Eliade who actually has written about this idea a lot. And there are many European and American authors who've spoken about the importance of ritual for mental health and physical health also. Unfortunately, in India, we need somebody who does not speak Indian languages to talk about our culture so that we will be inspired to pursue our own culture. So,
Just one follow-up. No, I was not talking as a preventive method. I was talking in the context of a disease because I misinterpreted your
all
top.
of this is about disease, and I mentioned earlier.
No, I'm talking of the rituals.
Yes.
The preventive, as you said, rituals and spirituals spiritual medicine, right?
Yes.
I'm talking of rituals. In the texts, are there any rituals prescribed for medicine, as a medicine for certain diseases?
Yes, that is what the presentation is about, sir. Towards the end, I mentioned that I'm not going to talk about all of them. I just give you a taste of all this. When you go deeper into the text, they talk about...
No, can you give me an example? I'm sorry, I may have missed it. Pardon me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
thank
did
you.
not mention any examples. I only mentioned that each papa or pataka will result in some kind of a disease. And for each of these diseases, the Shatata Smriti, which I have taken for this presentation, recommends certain rituals. For example, and I have given so many danas, so many donations, different types of donations are given for treating different kinds of diseases. I have not mentioned exact details because it can cause more confusion than clarity. For academic purposes, I can share it with people who are very serious, but in general public, usually it's not recommended to talk about it because people can misunderstand and experiment on themselves. So it's not recommended. That's why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah,
but if you are looking for some straightforward examples, one is a very common example, at least in Tamil Nadu, that is given also in the Charaka Samhita. If you have any kind of fever, jwara, then one of the best solutions you can have is the chanting of the Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra. So this has also been made very popular by Mahaperiyava, that is Kanchi Shankaracharya, a few decades ago. I think in the 80s or 70s, he has spoken about this in front of his students or the followers, and it has become very popular now. And I think even today, many subscribers of the Kanchi Shankaracharya tradition, they do it very seriously.
So one last question, I'll finish with this. Sorry. Obviously you're a very scientific person. You've given your background, okay? Even if you don't acknowledge it, I'm conferring it on the basis of your qualifications. So would you see enough evidence that rituals or spirituals have led to curing diseases?
The same question I had when I started for my PhD thesis. I have taken a similar topic, but it's far more elaborate, goes deeper, and because of the limitations of my academic program, I could not engage in experimentation for validation. So what I plan to do is, after the PhD program is over, eventually I would like to implement it in the form of experimental validation through different trials. So you can call it a kind of a new integration with the existing medicinal systems. So I would recommend that we try this in combination with existing treatment paradigms. You cannot do only this to find solutions. Otherwise people will think that we are only talking about religious mumbo jumbo. The focus has to be on trying to integrating it with existing systems to make it more efficacious. She is an Ayurveda practitioner, so yes.
Just in regard to what you were saying, we do have, I would say, at least from the basis of temples being a center structure, for this entire purpose. A lot of the times, let's say about 80 years or 90 years back, the entire system of treatment used to also be temple centric. You had traditions and Vaidyas who existed along with or in tie-up with a center. The understanding is that people would always visit a temple, so they would get the required treatment as well. He had mentioned that Daiva Vyapashaya, this entire modality, we look at how did the disease actually come up? And is it through karma, as in what you have done before? Is it through something that you're doing right now? Or is it through any other factor like what we discussed, an environmental factor? Based on how the Vyadhi actually happened, we make a call. The Daiva aspect, which he's covered today, is not, we at least don't resort to it immediately. If there is a physical cause, the person's drinking like 5 liters water and then sleeping and they're getting sneezing and a cold, you'd address the actual issue. You won't say, you have to go to this person, do these treatments, do the chanting. That isn't how you approach it. So, but we did approach it when there was no immediate reasonable factor as to why has this disease even come. In that case, Daiva was the easiest method because the body can understand what you tell itself. Given a practice, able to tether itself to it, it has an ability to heal itself. So, in answer to that, yes, there have been more than, it has not been documented in the current way in which a medical publication is required, but in practice and in faith, it exists.
Okay, thank you so much. Namaste.
It has been a wonderful presentation by Sri Abhinav Kadambi that we really could learn a lot about just one aspect of Ayurveda, the divine therapy aspect of Ayurveda. There is much more to it. It's a very vast science. Like when you say it's Upaveda, it's as good, as vast as the Vedas. There's so much that is being derived from the Vedas. Anyway, talking about whether we have something preventive or something, it is our practices and almost all that. She brought up the concept of temple being connected with the Ayurvedic practices. In our system, almost every temple will have some prasada in the form of a tulsi leaf or a bilva patra, and pashanas, the Murugan temple pashanas. All these are supposed to have very high medical properties, which are taken as a prasada, so that people take it with all the devotion and faith of its curative powers, mostly for spiritual this one, as well as for the physical well-being. So we have these practices which is ingrained in our system. So that much. And now I would request our GM, Mr. Jaykumar, to kindly present a memento of appreciation to Abhinav Kadambi for the wonderful talk that he gave us today. Thank you.